Good morning and welcome to me trying this again. Welcome to Who Am I? Welcome to Groundhog's Day. Every day we come in with the same mission. Mission is we're going to think about this for however long it takes. I'm inviting you into the room while I do it, as I try to pull it all together. That's basically what I'm doing. And the question that is central to all things during this time period is, who am I? And in reference to what? Source energy. Who am I? Who am I? What is source energy? Who am I in reference to source energy? And what's the bigger picture in reference to source energy? And how does that get me anything I want in my life? I mean, how does that get me anywhere? That's the question. Who am I? Who am I? How does this work? How does this whole setup, get up, layout work? Who am I? And I'm going to try to come to it from as selfless of an angle as I can hit. That's my goal, is to hit my selfless angle, that place where I am the allness, but I am not particularly in myself. The self that I'm in is in a place where it relates to where all of our selves are, in a general spot of, here I am in the center of humanity. Who am I? Who am I as an individual? Who am I as a human being? How does all this work? What do we all know? How does it all fit together? Those are the kinds of things that a person actually can know. What do we all know? What is that generalness that we all understand? Who are we as a species? What do I know? What does it look like when what I know, when I put it together? When I add it all up, how does it all add up? And have you even added it up? If you're just looking at spot things from the lenses of various emotional standpoints, then it's not likely that you really do have a clear picture of what the allness that you're looking at looks like, what it's shaped like, how it moves, how you are a part of it. We are not just a cell in the body of humanity, but humanity itself is like a cell in the body of the universe. And there's a way you can line up your thinking so that you're in alignment with all of it, so you're not clashing and competing with it all. I'll tell you what the problem is with humanity. For a very long time, we've been operating on a paradigm of competition, and it's just not correct. And zero-sum game, that's another one that makes it play out really harsh. And we got to get over those. It isn't a zero-sum game, and the name of the game is not competition. The name of the game is, what would I name this game? I'll have to think about that. I would like that answer to come to me. What's the name of the game? It's not competition. It is cooperation. You could say that. That's a boring answer, but it's true. The name of the game is cooperation. Harmonious, synchronific cooperation. That's probably a made-up word. Synchronific. Symphonific. There's another good made-up one. Yeah, the universe is a very amazingly cool, fantastic, wonderful place. And if we would better come to understand how to walk on this earth, fly in this universe, if we would understand ourselves and how it works better, it would just be so much easier. I don't know how to say it. Let go of the oars. Understand that there is a greater field phenomenon that you are a part of. And within that part of that magnificent field phenomenon that we are a part of, this beautiful dance of ideas and love and order. We are in a field like that, and it is moving forward. Human beings, in their lack of understanding who they are, have a tendency, I don't know from which vantage point, I'm trying to hit this vantage point from a place that doesn't particularly matter who I am specifically, except for the fact that I'm the one that has added all of this up in this way. And my general advice to all people is add it up, people. Add everything up. It all adds in. And so if you add something in and then your world shifts, well, keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. It's sort of like the old adage, it's something in the on the order of, it's a good thing to be around people who've read a lot of books. God save me from that one who's only read one book. Add it all up. You need to have more information going on in there as you decide what the field greater than yourself is. So all the universe outside of your particular physical knowing, you've put it together in your mind. You have an idea of what it is out there beyond you, right? But how close is that idea that you've got about what the world actually is beyond you and how it actually works beyond you? If you haven't given it conscious thought and you haven't added it all up, all the frequencies, all of who you are, actually what you come to, if you haven't come to this, then you haven't quite finished adding it up. The sum total of the whole thing is a very connected, meaningful, loving grace. If you haven't come to that, then you need to keep adding. And maybe you're just adding the negative emotions. Well, the negative emotions you kind of need to pull back into a larger frame and see what you're actually looking at over time from an understanding that you have to know that you are good. You have to know that you are good. Now, you may be being bad, but you are good. And that's the difference. You have to know that you are good, and I don't care how bad you are. You are good. And actually, if you're being bad, what you're witnessing is something else. You're witnessing a lack of alignment between your two great beings, your great being and your more conventional self. But even your conventional self is not so conventional or ordinary. You are an extraordinary system of being. And I believe very strongly in my heart of hearts that the secret answer to all of our problems simply comes from understanding the situation better. Having a clearer understanding in generally, most of us, or even just me, if it's just me, I still have to operate along the principles of the universe as I see that it's working. I can't go against it because I know where that leads. We have a particular phenomenon that is trying to bear down on us in the United States, and all great thinkers and feelers of this time period can see it. Now, we seem to be helpless at the moment to stop it. This phenomenon is authoritarian psychosis. And I don't actually want to name names because I imagine, because I don't want to assist polarity in the field, because there is no villain. There is no villain in this situation. And actually, even if you're coming from a serious, loving, kind, broad-minded, broader perspective-based philosopher, thinker, completely seeing the situation, it doesn't change what it is. Actually, hold on one second. Even if I seem to be in understanding of this situation that is unfolding, this authoritarian psychosis playing out in the field, we need to really understand what the point of it is. We keep being surprised at where it's just such an interesting phenomenon. It is not what you think it is. There is no villain. There is no villain. Even, this is what I was going to say. And it's not very good, so maybe I'm not going to say it. It had to do with vantage points and clarity and... the idea of this whole thing was that there is no villain. There's no us and them. There's nobody to blame. Even if you are very cognizant of the specifics on the ground and you know exactly who to blame, there still is no one to blame. Blame ought to be taken out of certain aspects of our lexicon. It's not like you can't use the word blame, but the spirit of it should be withdrawn from how we assess the situation around us. If we are assessing our situation, blame should never be a part of it. Understanding should be a part of it. And in actual fact, in very, very profound ways, every single one of us is absolutely correct about something. And even in our negative emotion, we're pointing to some aspect of the condition that is out of alignment, that's displeasing us. And that's fair. We are allowed to like what we like and want what we want. As a matter of fact, we're not just allowed to like what we like and want what we want. We are very, very much encouraged to get in touch with your desires. Get in touch with your desire itself, because the desire itself is the impetus that you are receiving from your greater source. This better understanding of source energy is going to lead humanity into two places that he wants to go. One is a personal, better, harmonious life with more of your dreams coming true and your steps moving you more into a happily ever after direction where peace on earth, goodwill towards men abides, and we are all in this together, and we recognize our common humanity. That's going to be part of it. Of course, how could it not be part of it? But a better understanding of the actual quantum... My thoughts are racing and my words cannot keep up. Our better understanding of the quantum field around us takes humanity to a place where we are free from fossil fuels. And I do not begin to understand I begin to, but I don't fully... I don't know how it's going to go down physically. And yes, I know it's going to be a hard pill because we've spent over a century, and we shouldn't have, but we did because the consciousness wasn't there. We spent over a century working on technologies fueled by fossil fuels. Well, this is that pivotal time in history where it is time for our intentions to lead us away from it. We have to set our intentions. Now, why haven't we already set our intentions? 2 reasons. First of all, some sort of common understanding, I'm air quoting understanding, some sort of common understanding has led us collectively to, in general, to believe that we can't. Oh, that's too hard. We can't do that. And it's not possible. It's not possible to have over-unity devices. It's not possible to plug into source. It's not possible to have any kind of free, clean energy source. That's not possible. Well, we've bought that for a long time, but I don't believe it. I do not believe it anymore, and neither should you. Go check out a movie. It's on a lot of different platforms. I bought mine on Amazon. It wasn't produced by Amazon, so it's not Jeff Bezos' little, way he'd like us to see the world. It's called the Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's a whole history of the suppression of the kinds of devices and ideas that could have vastly reduced our dependency on fossil fuel. But the people who own the fossil fuel, the reality of their lives is they don't want to quit burning it, which is really foolish, because what they ought to do is take their wealth and their intention and move it and flow it in a different direction so easily, but they don't. And what's going to happen, because they refuse to do it easily, it's going to probably happen harder. That's just the way it works. I'm not predicting anything specific. I'm just saying that's the way the energies flow. When large parts of us are invested in a system that is not sustainable, neither is it fulfilling the needs of most of humanity, it's creating Shiva energy in the field. And I'm not a Hindu, but I understand this concept of this goddess of destruction, this force that is beyond us as individuals. What it is it's an energy in the field. I told you there's no villain, but there is a villain energy. It's the polarity itself. There is no us and them, but this mindset that causes us to believe that there is an us and them, that energy field is the enemy. And it actually isn't the enemy. It's just a reflection of us being out of alignment. As we pull ourselves more and more into alignment with our source, I'm not going to say with each other. We do not want to be in alignment with each other. We want more and more of us to be plugged directly into source. And source lines us up with each other in a harmonious, beautiful, dancing way. Actually, that's the important part of it. Source organization, the organizational source, the source of all organization, is what we want organizing us. But in order to do that, we need to understand who we are. So we're going to talk for a little bit this morning about who you are. You are source energy, first of all, in a physical body, but that physical body is also made of source energy, because there isn't anything around you that you can sense in any way. There isn't anything that existeth unto the universe other than this source energy. What is it? It's the Planck field. It's the quantum field, the pixelated quantum field, this superfluid of frequencies that organize into longer waves that are experience and phenomenon. You are this quantum field. Why does it matter? Because it's got certain properties that, if you understood, you have access to, because you are made of this field. One of the things that matters about its characteristics is it's holographic. It is holographic, which means all of the information of all of the universe is encoded all across the field, all around you. Specifically, all of the atoms, all of the protons in all of the universe, the information of all of the protons of all of the universe is encoded in the Planck field of every individual proton. And that information is being updated all the time. Every now. All the field is like touching itself, interacting with itself, feeling itself, you could say, knowing itself, checking in. All the parts are uploading their little bit of information to the allness. The allness is downloading its information back to the points across scales. From the Planck, from the sub-Planck, actually, from the sub. Anyway, you could go forever. From the Planck to the proton, to the solar system, to the galaxy, to its black holes, all the way up and all the way down. Protons, the way they behave, they obey the laws of being a black hole through their Hawking radiation. As a matter of fact, it turns out a proton is a very, very, very stable thing in this universe. It's almost like the building blocks that everything's made out of, because it's very, very stable once they have been once they come into being. But they are little black holes, just like everything is black holes, actually. Spinning black holes. Little integers of information. Why is all of this important? Because it means that you are carrying around all the information of the universe. You are connected to all the universe. You can know the universe, and the universe knows you. Guarantee you the universe knows you, and you can know the universe. It is understandable, but you got to really open your mind up. You got to open that mind up, and you got to add up everything that you know. You've got to link your brain and your heart to one another. Get into heart-brain coherence mode. It's a kind of frequency. You are a broadcaster and a receiver unto the universe. If you want to have access to the really good ideas that the universe is just teeming with, that you can jump in and get into concert with. The situation on the ground is much, much better than the zero-sum game players imagine it to be. It actually is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win across the board. But as long as you see it as competition, there's this vicious there's a different thing going on. So I don't want to get too many balls juggling in the air, because then I lose track of the main point. What was I driving to? Who am I? Who am I? How does this work? How do I operate in this source energy field, this quantum field of which I am made of? And by the way, there's another thing that this universe is, and that is perfectly remembering. Whether you're remembering it or not, the universe has absolute contact with its continuum. There is a momentum where it has come from, where it is going. There's a track that it is playing out, and as it does, it's recording it in the space memory network. As we flew past on the planet, everything that was happening on the planet and the planet itself and the whole event, as it dragged across that area of space-time, it recorded what happened right where it happened when it happened. You know what I mean? As we flew past that point in space, everything that was happening records on the fabric of space-time itself forevermore. It's sort of like the hard drive. And as things happen, it's recorded. But you have access to it through consciousness, because consciousness can go to the place where everything is. There's a place where we all are. There's a point that we all share. that all you have to do is go there, and that's where everything is. It's non-local. It has nothing to do with here or there. It's everywhere. It's universal consciousness, and you have access to it. And everyone has access to it. You just have to kind of go to where that frequency is. And by the way, I did say you are a broadcaster and a receiver. You are both of those things, and it's almost like a bat. You think of it analogous to how a bat navigates a cave, a space. It puts out a frequency, and then that same frequency bounces off things and comes back. It is the same one, comes back to him. And in a really cosmic, bigger perspective, broader frame, that's kind of what's happening, what you are doing. You're broadcasting a broadcast to the universe, but there's a lot more than just it bouncing off and then coming back. It's coming back to you in the form of how the world is treating you, how you are interpreting that, what you're feeling about it. It's coming back in manifestation, the way you put it out in broadcast. And it has to do with how you are rendezvousing with all of the energies around you. Are you rendezvousing with the ornery crowd? Are you resonating with the angry ones? Are you staring at things in the field that you do not like? And you do not have to like things that you do not like. You do not have to like things that you do not like. But if you're staring at things that you do not like and emitting a frequency based upon this thing that you do not like, and you're in negative emotion, and that's what you're broadcasting, the information that you're getting back from the rest of the field is not going to be clear. It's going to be chaotic. Actually, this is pretty advanced stuff. Let's get back to the basics. I have not fully elucidated the basics for our new people new to this program, as that is everybody on the planet right now. That is a pretty big set. So we are a binary system. You're a binary system. So I did say your source energy, your body's source energy too, but it's kind of a denser, it's a different. Your body is made up of the atoms that the quantum field has. It's denser. It's a different experience. So all of you is source energy, though. All of you is source energy. And that's how come that self that is you from your skin out. So your body is from the skin in. That's your body. This is me. But you have a me that goes farther out than, it does not end at your skin. Because you are source energy, and your body is source energy too, it is absolutely connected to the rest of you, which is this field of information that flows out from you, touches everything around you, and sort of echoes back to you. Again, I'm getting too specific. You're a binary being. Think of yourself as that. And this will lead me to my first slide. I'm actually a little bit excited this morning because I added 13 new slides. That later, I'm going to, if there's not a great segue for it, then right at the end of the program, I'll just show you these 13 slides. I captured them from a really amazing presentation. It's posted up on YouTube, and it is all of the mathematics explained. It's source mathematics explained. How matter emerges, the emergence of matter. That's not what it is. It's the origin of mass and the nature of gravity, or vice versa. I think it's the origin of mass and the nature of gravity. Because that understanding is what is going to free us from fossil fuels. That consciousness is going to free us from fossil fuels, because as each and every one fully realizes, ponders the meaning of our situation, once they realize that it can be done, the mathematical roadmap has been drawn and we can follow it. All our best and brightest minds can now take a hold of that roadmap and connect our technologies into this free, clean energy source. And that is my hope, that is my belief, that is my prayer, that is my faith, that is my analytical, it makes sense to me. And so that should be heartening to you all. It makes sense to me. Now, I know that doesn't mean diddly squat to anybody except me. I'm totally very self-aware about that. But the fact is that if you add it all up from where you are, it should add up also. The problem is not, everyone has access to this universal consciousness. And what it amounts to is adding it all up, adding all of us up. Subtracting no one. You can't subtract anyone. You can't even subtract the crazies. You can't subtract the villains. You can't subtract the assholes. You can't subtract the people on the other side of the political spectrum, whichever spectrum you find yourself on. You cannot subtract. We are all divinely unsubtractable. You cannot subtract in this universe of addition. You have to add it all up. Now, I say that you have to add it all up, but I'm not saying that you have to focus on all of it equally, because you certainly don't. I would certainly focus on the positive. But you have to add it all up. And one of the things that adds up on this planet right at this moment is that we are, in some ways, in terrible trouble. In some other ways, in another way, though, I want to say at the same time, and this is sort of the paradox. The paradox is both of these at the same time. The other one is fear not, for all is well. And actually, as you approach the issue, do not fear, because the only thing to fear is fear itself. FDR was right about that one. The answer isn't even really to take it seriously, although if you're already taking something seriously, then you might as well look at it this way for just a minute. So I'm going to tell you very briefly, let's see how few seconds I can manage to, because I don't want to focus. Abraham's right. You got to be careful what you focus on. But you can't subtract any of the things that you know. You can't unsee things you've seen. You can't unknow. And if you don't know what to do with them, then these ideas or thoughts, or, like something happens and you don't know how to place it in your sense of what you understand the world to be. You're like, I don't know what to do with that, so I'll just throw it out. You can't do that. You have to add it all up. If you want to pretend like you understand the greater picture, you need to add it all up. If you're just looking at the specific place where you are, that's another thing. You might be claiming specialized knowledge in a really specific place out here on the grid. Fine. That's fine. I tip my hat to your knowledge of where you are. But if you're going to pretend like you understand the greater picture, you need to add it all up. Everything needs to, you're not allowed to just throw things away. I myself, in a greatly philosophical sense, see the Holocaust as being a misaligned, absolutely, completely not understanding who we are and how this works, attempt from their negative energy, first of all, from their perspective, trying to subtract something that their clumsy, oafish way, that they tried to subtract something that in their ignoramus way of thinking, they thought that if they could just subtract these certain kinds of people, if we just could eliminate all of the bad ones, then the rest of us would live in this utopia of happiness, right? Well, that didn't work out all that well. And not just because they didn't win. If they had a won, it would have just, the darkness would have continued. The reason why storms like that never last is because they don't have a true source. There is not a true source of the darkness itself. What there is momentums of ignorance and chaos that human beings play out. I see them as storms, like a hurricane or whatever, and it plays itself out, and then it's gone. It doesn't. That hurricane doesn't just keep on going unless you happen to be the red spot, the great red spot, the great whatever that thing is on Jupiter. That one just seems to keep going and going and going and going and going, right? But think of those little the kerfuffles, the skirmishes, the places where I see January 6th as a little storm of chaos. And it's a storm of Shiva energy. And where it comes from is when parts of us build and operate under systems that are not understanding who we are, not in alignment with the rest of the field, and not sustainable. Not sustainable and not sustaining to a great number of people. When that happens, it creates this kind of Shiva energy, and Shiva energy plays out mostly, the Shiva energy I'm talking about is within the human morphogenetic field. I imagine that Shiva energy refers to things like volcanoes and supernovas and hurricanes and things like that too. But I'm talking about a particular kind of psychological energy that is created in the human morphogenetic field when we are not sustaining or sustainable. And our systems, we can't fake it. We can't fake it to reality. Reality knows where we are, knows what works and what doesn't work, and knows that what we are doing doesn't work. But on a practical level, you can see how this energy, what happens, people are disenfranchised. They don't have access to the good life. They don't have access to the stream, the currency that provides a ticket into the food that humanity produces, or the goods that he comes up with, the services, the idea. Well, so the really good news is that it is within the human morphogenetic field. So if you start understanding how you work and how it works and how to plug yourself into your own source energy, your source energy will tell you how best to harmonize with the rest of the group, and will flow you access to ideas and rendezvous and relationships that will grant you access to all that you desire. Everything that you desire. Great ideas, great cooperative co-creators, the ingredients that you need to bake your cake, to make your dreams come true. Just harmonize your dreams with the rest of the field. Make your dreams harmonious with what the rest of the field wants. Don't have your desire for freedom take the freedom away from somebody else. Your desires need to line up with the rest of the group, and that's what's been the problem with the systems that we have been putting into place. They have not been in alignment with source energy and how all of the biology flows around us, we could easily. The biggest problem with what we do on planet Earth right now is the way we extract our energy source. We need to understand source energy. We need to understand this quantum field around us. Not only is it going to take us to a place where we can plug our technologies directly into a free, clean source of all energy that is located everywhere, by the way, everywhere. There is no place in this universe where this source is not sourcing. So that's a good thing. You don't have to go somewhere else in locality. It is wherever you are. So that's, not only is it going to do that, it's going to free us from gravity. It's going to bring us to a place where we understand what gravity actually is. It's been kind of a mystery. We've been looking for the gravitons or, whatever. The fact is, so this brings me to, did I ever explain this? These are your two beings. Think of this as your two minds. Your two minds. The big aperture on the left, that's your source energy mind. This is what your mind is thinking about. Your source energy mind is thinking thoughts. It's thinking thoughts of connection, and it's thinking thoughts of reality, and it's thinking thoughts of energy flow, and it's thinking thoughts of harmony and, reality. You over there, you are thinking specific things about your immediate surroundings. You are the specific in this. And the whole idea is you need to get your two minds lined up with one another. Now, it's unclear to me whether it's more like a Venn diagram, or I'm sure that's how it begins. Your little aperture needs to be anywhere where that bigger one is shining its light. Because that bigger one, that source energy mind, is shining light on what is so, on what is true, on what is real. And the truth of the matter is that we are all connected to one another in a very profound and meaningful way. And that place where we connect feels like something. You can tell where we all connect because it feels like something. As you get closer and closer to where we all connect, it feels like, what does it feel like? It feels like love. It feels like profound, well, I'm going to use words that just really don't say anything. What does this connection feel like? It feels like connection. What does it mean? It feels like meaning. It feels like connection. What does that feel like? It feels like love. It feels good. It feels really, 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 really good. It feels safe. It feels safe. When you're in this place, you know that you are always here. That this place where we all are is always here. No matter what body you come into, this place where we all are is always there. And we are safe there. And this place where we all are, it also contains the continuum of you, the continuous informational flow of you, the momentum of you, what you care about, what you think about. It's all contained here too. You are never lost. You are never lost. And you are never lost in the context that you are in. Your context is never lost. You can get lost down here on the physical specifics because down here when you're looking very specifically at the stuff, you kind of have to lose sight of that place where we all are. And you then just kind of have to have faith that it's there and let its gentle wisdom guide you. I was going to say its gentle guidance, then what? Guide you? Its gentle guidance guide you. I don't know. That doesn't sound too good. Doesn't sound too profound. but it is. The very, very, very profound, when you get to it, truly it sounds pretty trite. God is everywhere. God is love. God loves you. All of that's true. It's all very, very true. But it gets way more personal than that, because it's not just God. It's not just the allness. It's not just the Almighty. It's your inner being, which is your individuated, personal slice of the Almighty. It's your inner being. It's your cosmic vibrational aspect that is in touch with all things, that reads the hologram, that knows where you are in the field, that knows where you have come from, that knows your worth and your value and where you are going, knows who you are. Each and every one of you has one that knows who you are, and you are all good. All of us are good. But not all of us are being good. And that's because when we create systems that don't support us all, the ones who are not supported become angry and threatened and fearful and anxious and desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. And angry, desperate people band together in angry desperation. And actually, the odd thing about it is that there is also a class of just angry assholes who are not necessarily all that desperate, but who feel that the resonance of this energy in the field and sort of start leading it around. It was actually the genius of Hitler was not so much that he was a genius, it's that he brought under the same umbrella and to his purposes a great, angry, anxious, disenfranchised field of energy. There was a lot of people out there who were pissed, and you could tell a Nazi, once it got going, you could really tell the Nazis, because the Nazis were the ones who, if you encountered one, they were never kind, sympathetic, loving, open-hearted. That wasn't the energy that they carried, was it? There was a different spirit that they were in. You got to look at this world in terms of spirits. And spirits aren't like, woo, not that kind of, it's like frequencies. They are frequencies, continuum frequencies. Those spirits in the field, you can see them fleeing one dark place and going to another. They, as we move through time, those spirits that were in the laboratories of Dr. Mengele, for instance, when the war was over and those laboratories were not in use anymore, a lot of that same spirit plays out in the laboratories of vivisectors. It's like a really, really stupid kind of science that they do. And the spirit of it is the same spirit. It's that's how come the Mengele laboratory was so horrifying, because they took the spirit of the vivisection lab and took it into places where they were doing that on human beings. And the whole thing is such a stupid premise to begin with, because it completely does not understand who we are and how who we are collectively, who we are, what love is. There's all kinds of terrible, terrible places that in action that we can go when we disconnect our heads from our hearts. There's a lot of really stupid things that seem logical when our hearts and our minds are not connected to one another. And as a matter of fact, they both have a brain. There's a little brain in your heart. There's some 40,000 brain-like brain neuron cells on your heart muscle. And there is a particular heart-brain, the HeartMath Institute for over 20 years, I think it's probably close to 25 years now. The HeartMath Institute has been studying the science of that connection between the heart and brain and what happens to humanity when that connection is there and what happens to humanity when that connection is not there. And what it amounts to is, I'm still showing this picture of the two apertures. When your heart and your brain are connected to one another, it's basically the same thing as when these two minds are lined up with one another. Think of heart-brain coherency as being analogous to those two centers of those two brains lining up with one another, and now they are in harmony. What you feel and how you're feeling the universe is now in harmony and in sync with your analytical mind. You now have access to universal consciousness. You now have access to everything that you know. You are now an integral whole. And this is what we need to understand and what we need to get to. And the answer to all of our problems on planet Earth is not to bludgeon and control each other into better behavior. It's sort of along the lines of, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. It's never going to happen. You can beat them and beat them and beat them, and morale will never improve that way. And this misunderstanding of who we are and this desire to control each other from the outside based on outside forms is never going to work. The only thing that's going to work is a better understanding of ourselves from ourselves, and then coming into alignment with our system, the way we actually work, our source energy mind and our specific conventional mind, where we are saddled with that source mind, that relentlessly positive, always connected to reality, loving you and all things aspect of yourself. You're saddled with that forever. And so anytime you take small thoughts, small mean thoughts about yourself or anybody else, you're going to feel the discord of that, because your greater self never thinks that way, never looks that way. And it's just, I like to think of it as this aspect of you that is relentlessly positive. You are saddled with that relentlessly positive, attached to reality aspect of you forevermore. So quit trying to buck the current. Go with the love. Go with the flow. Let go of the oars. Know that there is a greater organizing force that is in play in the field around you. And this organizing force is, it's love, it's harmony, it's win-win, it's eagerness, it's fun, it's entertainment, it's anything that you like. It is what your inner being is actually doing. And it's finally occurred to me. It's still tremendously mysterious to me what this inner being, the life and shape of my own inner being is still quite a bit of a mystery to me, and I struggle to I don't struggle, I intend to understand where she is. Where is my inner being? She is where your desire is. And what your true desire is for more, is for better, is for kinder, is for more abundant, is for more synchronistic, harmonious, abundant, satisfying, just, honorable, pleasant. I don't know, all of the virtues, all of that, you can feel what all of that feels like. We all know what that feels like. We all want that. What happens is some of us get knocked around in our physical experience, and then we don't believe it's possible. Our experience doesn't say that anything like that is possible. Maybe you end up in the middle of a horrific storm of humanity's creating. Like maybe you're in Gaza right now. It's hard for you to believe at that position that anything good is happening, could happen, that you could make anything better, that success is possible. It's very difficult from that position, wouldn't it be? Whatever situation you find yourself in, though, your inner being knows the way out, knows the path of least resistance for you to follow to find where what you want is. Now, I am not in Gaza, so I'm going to quit pretending in any way that I have any sense of what that would feel like, because I am in a relatively safe location on the grid, but I do feel what's happening around. I have disconnected from news for about the last 4 years. I couldn't take it anymore. Right at first, I joined the resistance, and I attempted to resist something that I thought was the authoritarian psychosis rising in the field of American political landscape, and it frightened me. And so my immediate response in my fear was to get politically active. Well, I sort of regret that, because I started to notice in a broader sense how the resistance itself seemed to be giving power to it was helping to polarize the field. Both sides, both what I was considering the wrong side and the right side, were actually fueling this greater evil, which is the polarity itself in the field, which brought me to the realization that no matter how I want to blame the actual perpetrators, the ones who are carrying the Shiva energy, I want to blame the individuals specifically, you can't do it. There is no enemy. There is no villain. The villain is the polarity itself in the field. It's us not understanding who we are and allowing it to propagate. It's us not understanding how we are summoning demons from ourselves in the way we are focusing, and how. So in light of this aperture that I just won't take off the screen for some reason, it has to do with what you put in the center of that center. What is in the center? And I have come to the conclusion that in the center of the aperture of your focus has to be positive. You have to focus on positive. Doesn't mean you can't look at negative. You can look at negative, but it kind of needs to be a little bit more in your peripheral vision. I see you, but I'm not focused on you. I see you, but I am not focused on you. I am focused on this good thing. And focusing on the good thing is sort of, it activates a positive force field of protection around you. If you turn and look directly at the evil, first of all, as the Greeks would have put it, it turns you to stone. It freezes you. You can't move when you're staring directly into the abyss, directly into the maw of, air quotes, evil. That which you do not care, that which you do not like, that extreme contrast. You're staring right into the middle of it. Evil. And what it does to you. So you have to have the center of the aperture of your focus be on good. But now you do need to look at the evil through your peripheral vision. And so what I see as evil, the things that are plaguing mankind at this moment, So plaguing us from a larger frame is our carbon footprint is horrific. The way we burn fossil fuels is belching poisons into the atmosphere. Whether you think of the carbon dioxide as poison, there's still plenty of poison involved in, slurrying up the tar sands and, sending them across the continent, across aquifers, down to refineries, and then put it on ships and send it across the sea, manned by human beings who are full of human error and all that. You can see the flaws in the system. So burning fossil fuels is indeed a problem. It is a problem. Sixth mass extinction on planet Earth caused by human behavior. Whether you believe in global warming or not, you certainly can believe in global killing. Planeticide. We are killing the biosphere of the planet. We are snapping all of the threads of life that hold us all together. It's really not a good idea. Bad thing. Garbage Island. Garbage Island out in the Pacific Ocean. That big swirling where the vortex of trash. How about the growing deserts? The deserts are growing. Desertification. Terrible thing. Let's see. War. Terrible thing. Authoritarian psychosis. That's a little closer to home. Well, actually, all of this is close to home. It goes on and on. Drowning polar bears, dogs collected for food, what they do to food dogs in Korea. Oh my God, I spent the worst day of my life thinking about that one. So all of these things, this is the main problems that plague humanity. And you can see that every single one of them is caused by this lack of understanding of who we are and not being in alignment each with our inner beings. There's a lot of people doing what they think they have to do, and it feels terrible to them as they do it. They're ignoring their own feelings, their own inner guidance system as they continue to do things that they hate. We need to bring ourselves... I'll tell you what the world that we're heading for, what it really looks like, is every single one of us choosing for ourselves what feels good, what feels right, and what we want, with a general understanding of who we are collectively, who we are as a group, knowing that it works so much better when you pick your desires from desires that are in alignment with what we all desire. So come at it from a general standpoint first. Don't look at the hard facts on the ground and then pick from that pool of ideas. You don't actually have to do that. The way human beings are, you can imagine anything. As a matter of fact, look at the facts on the ground, take an assessment. Okay, this is where we are. I see it. I got it. Got the lay of the land. Now, what do I want given the way this works? And now, focus on what you want. 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 Quit focusing on what we've got. Of course, what we've got is not what we want. And yet, you have to build what you want out of what you've got. So, as it turns out, when you bring it all back home, all the way back to yourself, all the way back to you as an individual, and what feels good to me, and what do I want, and knowing my value as in when I get to the clear place of what I really want, I think even what the assholes really want is peace on earth, all of us getting along, all of us playing, a kind of justice in playing out. We want justice. We don't want the bad guys to get away with all of it and, push the weak down and keep them from having their... We don't want that. What we really want is, well, I'll tell you what I want. I want humanity to get back to the place where we are gardening Eden. And I think that a greater understanding of source energy is going to take us there. So before I leave the psychological angle on this topic of source energy, I need to show the emotional guidance scale. This is how your inner being is communicating with you. Your inner being is thinking general thoughts of beautiful spirits. Your inner being is general. Your inner being is thinking freedom and joy, abundance, clarity, entertainment, harmony, synchronicity, beauty, alignment. It's thinking, You're the one picking the specific. And as you pick specific thoughts, if they are in alignment with what your inner being is thinking, then you're in a positive emotion. And if they're out of alignment, then it's that resonant discord. That's what that emotion is. Because coming from about the area of your solar plexus, it's right somewhere in that vicinity, is your transmission center. And from that center, you are broadcasting two distinct broadcasts. One is coming from your greater being, the continuum that is really you. What your cells are actually doing, where your blood is actually flowing, how you connect actually to all of the things around you. The quantum field is absolutely aware of itself. And at your atomic level, you are the quantum field, and you are the quantum field. So because you are that at your atomic level, you are that. You are the quantum field. And your inner being is aware of all reality of you, all continuum of you. And broadcasting unto the universe on your behalf to summon all cooperative components your way, to play with you and dance with you. Your inner being is broadcasting that. Now, your human mind, forgive me, I got a frog in my throat, which makes me sound so much raspier. On the phone, people always think they don't always, but they often think that I am a man, and I am not a man, I'm a girl. Your conventional self, you, on the other hand, can think any thought you want. You can think superstitious nonsense. You can be backward-looking, regretful. You can be so down on yourself, thinking that you're meaningless and nothing and helpless and alone, or any kind of thoughts like that. Your inner being knows that none of that is true. It knows that you are one with all the universe, and you have access to all of the qualities that the universe possesses. That's what you have access to. All the potential that the universe is designed with, you possess because you are made of the same stuff. And you are one with this universe. That's what your inner being knows. And so it never is in a state of regret. Why would it be in a state of regret? It's too busy being in a state of being. Just being what it is, being who you are. So when you take thoughts that are off in left field, that's when you feel negative emotion. And you're allowed to want what you want, but know that we are, the steps of creation are as follows. Steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 1, Contrast causes me to ask for more, ask for better. Step 2, source answers. Vibrationally, I am given the vibration of that which I seek. As soon as I ask, I am handed the vibration of that which I seek. And now I've got to find that vibration, and the universe will flow to me that which I want. Well, the vibration of that which I want is this state of allowance, state of faith, loving, fear not, for all is well, that kind of, it's that vibration. And from that vibration, Source hands me the ideas that will lead me to the physicality of what I'm looking for. So, step 1, life causes you to ask. Step 2, source answers. Step 3, I have got to get into a state of allowing the answer to come to me. I can only allow it to come if I believe it's there. I have to get into a state of faith, faithful knowing that the Lord, the Almighty, has granted me my answer. But it's a vibration. Now I go find that vibration, and from that vibration, I can, because the universe is vibrational, and the universe, the matter follows the vibration. The vibration comes first, and the form follows that vibration, which leads me to the perfect place. So let me finish this. There's another representation of the emotional guidance scale, and it more graphically represents how, as you go lower down in the scale, the actual momentum of negativity grows. That's why that little vortex is getting bigger and bigger. Here's another representation of that same building of momentum, either in the negative direction, or as you come up from the bottom to the center, you kind of get into a place where there's not much momentum either way. Then you break free. Now you're positive momentum, and that gets stronger. That's what that's illustrating. Here is another 4 general states of being: specific negative, general positive, specific positive. This is your gas and brake mechanism. This is where it is. It has to do with how you are focusing, going in, back, dialing back out to the general. The general is the broader perspective. That's in alignment with your source self, the one who's in touch with reality, what's actually happening all around you, where all the atoms actually are, and how they're moving, and what temperature they are, and where we are in space, and all that. The source is keeping track of all of that. It really is. You are in charge of the specific. When you are in a negative state, actually, it doesn't matter. When you move from the general into the specific, you put on the gas. Now, wherever you are when you move into the specific, that determines whether you're building a specific negative or a specific positive. Are you getting into a specific positive point of view, or are you getting, which one are you putting the gas on? It's wherever you are at the moment when you go specific. Do you feel good? Well, then you've put the gas on good. If you feel bad and go specific into the bad, you've just put the gas on. And the reason you don't want to do that is because that's an indication that you're now moving in the opposite direction of what your inner being knows you want, because your inner being knows who you are, knows who you've always been. It is carrying your continuum. But what it's recording, actually, by the way, step 4 is getting good at step 3, and step 5 is being in step 1 again and not being mad at yourself because you understand the steps. So you're okay with how your emotions, what they are telling you. Now, so if you're in one of my personal rules for myself is, if you're in a state of negative emotion, sit on your hands. Don't act in that moment. Pull back to the general and find your way back to your positive, because if you are acting on your negative emotion, well, right in that moment, you are creating chaos. Your negative emotion is not clear. It's not clarity. Negative emotion is chaos. It's not coherence. It's not clarity. So if you're in a state of negative emotion, pull back to the general. The general is your put on the brakes kind of a thing. Pull back to the general, and then find your way to a positive, and then from that positive, dial into to the specific. And now you're putting gas on the positive. What I was going to say about vibration being the precursor to manifested form. This is the idea that is going to illustrate that. There is a particular field of study, it's called cymatics. And it's basically the study of the relationship between vibration and form. And it was pioneered by a man named Hans Jenny, who started with a metal plate that he would put a granular medium on, and then pipe a vibration through that plate, and the granular medium on the top would dance into a coherent pattern. You could see a pattern. You're like, oh my gosh, look at how that frequency created a pattern. You change the frequency, the pattern changes. So this right here is pictures of cymatic patterns. They were digitally produced. They are like you some sort of a digital device. You pipe a frequency through it, and a pattern is produced. Every different frequency produces a different pattern, just like a snowflake. Just exactly like a snowflake. Every single snowflake is different because they're all forming on slightly different frequencies. You know, the Planck field is producing all these. So that's what this is. Now this is also cymatic patterns, and you can see in the upper right and lower left, these are the metal plates with the granular medium on them, with somebody has piped in a frequency, and it's producing different. Not only does different frequencies produce different patterns, but higher frequencies produce more complex patterns. So that's what that's illustrating. And then in the upper left and lower right, those are actual biological creatures who are displaying, of all things, cymatic patterns in their form, because the universe is vibrational. The universe is vibrational, and look at the snowflakes. That is a cymatic pattern. These are all cymatic patterns, and isn't it cool? Cool beans. Now, to help understand our lives in this moment, you might be there's a specific reality that's playing out on the ground, and there's a momentum of it, and all that. Frequencies are changing. The form is changing. One thing about so look at the patterns on the plates. When you change the frequency from one to another, it changes the pattern on the board. But think of all of those grains of sand as being human beings, for instance, and as they change patterns. So something happens between when you go from one frequency to the next, when it goes from one pattern to the next, there's a moment in the middle where it's kind of not either pattern. Some parts of the old pattern are still in place, some parts of the new pattern are coming into form. And it looks kind of like chaos in the middle. But it isn't really. a pattern is forming. And if you happen to be on the ground in the human field, clinging to elements of the old form, not recognizing where and how the new form is coming into being, you're probably pretty nervous because your living, your access to the goods and services produced by mankind is at risk. As long as you can tap into the greater coherence of humanity, that part of us that produces food and produces energy and produces technologies and goods and services and transportation and communication systems and, stuff to make me comfortable and all that kind of stuff. As long as you have your access to that field that humanity is producing, that's great. But if you're clinging to forms that are falling away, you're probably getting extremely anxious, and you might be clinging to those old forms and maybe battling for them to continue in the legislature or whatever. You're trying to keep this in place by forcing it to be so, instead of just allowing what the universe wants to bring us to. You need to know that there is this greater loving, kind, knowing field that is pulling us in the direction of what we want. And we keep resisting its pull. We keep thinking that the valiant thing to do is to resist everything, to push against what we don't like, what we don't want. Push against it, push against it. You don't like it, go out and slap it. Go push it down into the... No. Anytime you resist evil, anytime you and I don't mean don't resist evil, I mean actively move towards your good. That's what helps you resist evil. Idle hands are Shiva's workshop. Those who are just kind of sitting around without much direction, when that storm of chaos and anger blows through, you're going to be swept up into it because you don't have a positive momentum of your own going. That's what you need to do. You need to lock onto something positive that you want. And what you want, I'll tell you what you want. You want freedom. You want abundance. You want clarity. You want relationship. You want symphonic harmony. You want cooperative components. You want access to goods and services. You want to know who you are. All of those things, that's what we really want. And when we get there, all of those other things, that specific litany of troubles that plague mankind are going to be fixed. They are going to be fixed as our consciousness rises, as we understand who and what we are. We will not be tempted to join in this war. War is not the answer. Now, there is going to come a time when the Shiva energy on the one side is just going to be so... I don't know. Specifically, I do not have specific advice for anyone other than understand who you are and how you are configured. Line up with your inner being. Line up with your inner being, what your inner being knows to be true about you and about the allness of everything. Line up with what she knows. And then follow the impulses that come from your alignment. And I promise you, in your alignment, you are not angry. Your inner being is never angry. Angry has nothing to do with how the states of being that your inner being engages in. Anger has nothing to do with that. Anger comes from your human configuration. It comes from you, your mind, and your source mind being at odds with one another. That's where your anger comes from. You are actually an eternal being unto this universe. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, I didn't even have time to pause. So I had to take you on that sneeze with me. When you understand your configuration, you also realize how it is true that no one can ever say specifically what another should do. Now, they might have some ideas. You can get some help from the people around you, but you really have to feel your own center in order to know what to do. I've got a lot of big places to go with all of these ideas, but now let's go to, I promised you that I had added a whole bunch of new slides to explain something, and I'm going to get to them now. If you're not a math or physics nerd, you can just sit back and look at this in wonder and go, wow, that looks so smart. And if you are a math and physics nerd, then try to have some sense of the import of what it is I'm about to show you. And at some point in the near future, I'm going to, as soon as I learn how to do it and make sure that it's legal for me to do so, I want to post links to this YouTube video at the end of my video so that you can go look at the whole thing, the whole 37-minute thing that basically explains how matter comes into being and what gravity is all about mathematically, and connects it all. It's not disconnected things kind of in the air that don't understand how the quantum world relates to the cosmological world, because they seem to be so freaking different. But they aren't really. They are, but they aren't. And this is a mathematical roadmap that's going to help us free ourselves from fossil fuels and free ourselves from the constraints of earthbound transportation systems. When we truly understand how to defeat gravity, I hate to say defeat gravity, when we understand, but conquer gravity, I guess there isn't a better way to say it than that. Then our transportation systems need no longer be upon the surface of the planet, and we no longer need to coat the earth in asphalt and concrete so that our cars can roll on it. We don't need to do that anymore. We will have hovercraft and transportation that is, and stuff that's better than airplanes too. Airplanes are okay. They're fine. They're better than cars. Although we need both long distance and short distance transportation systems, but none of them need to be on the surface of the planet. Electric cars, we think, it's just not the way to go. It's not the way to go. Hovercraft. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, this is the paper, the latest paper that was published by, and this is what the 37-minute YouTube video that I need to put a link to, what it explains in detail. This is the title of it, and there's some information on where you can find that, zenodo.org, That's the exact URL. I actually found it on a link. It was either on isf.org or it was Resonance Science Foundation whatever. It was either at the International Space Federation or the Resonance Science Foundation's websites. Either one of those, I'm not sure. And those are really easy to find. Just Google those words I just said. This is the full abstract. This is what it's explaining. And I went and put in 13 new slides, just capturing different things that this paper is explaining. So cool. Here we have the gravitational force at the hadronic scale. Isn't that cool? Quantum vacuum fluctuations, pressure force on P. Okay, look at this one. I'm just going to go through all of these right now. This has to do with black hole protons and how every proton is actually a black hole and obeys all of the conditions to be a black hole, including how the Hawking radiation, the Hawking evaporation time, how that works with a black hole proton. Here we go. This is the Hawking radiation at the hadronic scale. This just kind of gives you an idea. What this tells you is the math has been done. The math has been done, and the math is always the road map that starts the journey. It's so exciting. I'm so very excited. Humanity is going to get to a better place. I promise you. Fear not, for all is well. But this is the direction it's going to be. Lean this way, people. Here, this is all has to do with the quantum structure of space-time. You can at times see how some of these things we're looking at relates to sacred geometry. This little goober over here on the right, this little goober right here is the beginnings of sacred geometry. Look at that. And this is a 37-minute program that I captured 13 just screenshots of the mathematics going down, and it's all explained. Now it's explained in gobbledygook language as far as I'm concerned, because I don't speak this language, but physicists and mathematicians do. Now it may be a bit of a stretch for some of them to stretch their minds out to the point where they completely get what this paper is trying to say, but this is basically explaining reality itself and how it comes into being and how what gravity is in this picture. For one thing, what it is it's gravity is baked into the cake. As phenomenon comes into being, it is spinning. There is no mass without spin. Spin is fundamental to the equation. Here it is. Here is a harmonic oscillator coming into, as it comes into being, it's spinning. Isn't that cool? So those are my new slides. I've got another slide that I go to. Let's see what I'm at. Just over the hour and a half mark. Here we are with a slice of the configuration of the human mind. Now think of this as we're studying that small aperture side of the equation, right? So, I just thought of something that I had said earlier. Do I want to start this thread or do I want to pull that other one together? Remember I said you are broadcasting two broadcasts right at your solar plexus. You've got actually more than that going on. You're a really complex broadcasting event, as it turns out. And there's heart-brain coherence has something to do with all of this. Your heart is emitting an electromagnetic field as it beats. That is broadcasting to the universe. Your brain is emitting an electromagnetic field. Your how what you are broadcasting is blending is determining how the universe is responding to you and how you feel. That's what's happening. So this is your human mind. Your human mind consists of all the minds you were before you were human. It includes your reptilian brain. It includes your largely hormone-focused mammalian brain. Hormone-focused. I don't suppose I should have said that. It's not exactly accurate. But, so if you're a mammal, instead of being a lizard, a reptile, you have to have a different kind of focus, because you're no longer just laying your eggs and going. You have to be connected to your baby, for one thing. You have to care about your baby. You have to be focused on the world around you and around your baby in a different way. You have to be attached to it. And so the mammalian brain causes you to attach to your baby. That's your maternal love. It causes certain negative emotions to happen because you can have anxiety and fear. These are the emotions of protection. You know, as you snarl in to protect your baby from whatever threat. So these emotions start coming into play. They weren't really there as a lizard. You don't have to have the same kind of emotion when you're a lizard as when you're a mama bear. And then now, as a human being, you get another layer over that. And this one sort of gives you broader perspective. It gives your human mind its own kind of broader perspective. It gives you logic and analysis, rational thought, control of your emotions, because you can see beyond just that hormonal urge to protect. You know, you can see the bigger situation and go, oh no, I see what this is. You know, that's a homeless person, or a frightened, that's a child or whatever, and I don't need, anyway. You get the idea. So this is largely coming from this layer of brain we call the neocortex. This is your human brain. This is the human aspect of your brain. And 76% of the volume of this neocortex comes from human chromosome number 2. Why am I going to talk about human chromosome number 2? It's very interesting. Human chromosome number 2 is a fusion of 2 other chromosomes. This was studied back in 1991. This was published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, where all the different disciplines of the national sciences and the organizations of the national science, where they publish their work, and they publish it to their peers, and they need to publish it to their peers because their peers are the only ones who understand the specific language of their discipline that they are speaking. So this was published, you know, for the benefit of fellow geneticists who can understand what it is they're saying. So this is the full abstract, right? This one right here, this page helps you to go find it if you're interested. pnas.org is the website. This is the full abstract. And look at what it concludes. We conclude that basically what we've been discussing the whole time, which is a particular configuration noticed upon human chromosome number 2, the sequences of this and the telomeres in the center and blah, blah, blah. We conclude that it's the relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion and marks the point at which 2 ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. It's basically saying that this is what made us human. This fusion of these 2 chromosomes in this way made us human. And isn't that interesting? Because what this is corresponding to, this is the rise of mankind. And we used to call this Cro-Magnon man. This anatomically modern human being that just appeared on Earth. We say just appeared on Earth because we can't find the trace of that fossil record that very clearly shows this is how we evolved to be what we are. We just kind of appeared. At least as far as what the evidence we can find on the planet so far, we have not found the missing link. I think this is the missing link. This is what took us from being some sort of naturally evolving ape like hominid upon planet Earth And then all of a sudden we have the neocortex, and we are anatomically modern humans walking this planet. Now, I still need to know what's going on with chromosome number 7, because I understand there's something tricky about that one too. What this implies to me is that we are genetically modified. Somebody tweaked us. And it happened about 200,000 years ago, give or take some decades. I don't know exactly what the date is. It would be the date that our scientists agree that anatomically modern humans appeared upon the planet. So, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And all that that implies. Part of what it implies is somebody did this. Who did that? And why did they do it to us? Did they know what would happen? Is it, I always go through this, is it a beloved formula? Is it a known formula? Or was it an experiment? Was it a bet? Are we their children? Are we their servants? Are we their slaves? Are we their teachers? Who are we? Who are we? Where did we come from? And what is this story that we are playing out on planet Earth? I'll tell you right now, the history is coming from us not knowing who we are. Well, actually, history will keep going even when we do know who we are, but the way it's playing out is because we don't know who we are. And we're fixing to get a big freaking load of authoritarian psychosis coming right down the pike at us. This is an election year. And I'll tell you what, that it has nothing to do with what you think it has to do with. You think it has to do with reality, in the sense of, how can this possibly come at us? Because it's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's because it doesn't have to do with what you think it has to do with. It has to do with energies. It has to do with the harnessing of the disgruntled. It has to do with allowing of the better to come into form, or are we grasping and clinging to the old forms because we're clinging to form instead of feeling vibration? You know, are we allowing the better to come to us? Well-being is raining down around us so hard. It's so crazy that we are capable of not seeing it. The way that the great consciousness is trying to organize human behavior with ourselves in a harmonic, ordered, beautiful, diverse manner. What we don't want, the order that we do not want, is lockstep and groupthink. That is not the order we want. The order that we want is the peaceful, loving, dancing, diverse harmony that comes from every single being connecting to their own source and then iterating the allness from where they are in their very own special way. That's where all the strength comes from. That is how humanity can fix what the problem with humanity is. And each and every one of us, just do the best you can from where you are to line up with your source, the source of who you are. How do you do that? Care about how you feel. Care about how you feel. Know that how you are focusing and how you are feeling. So you're focusing, what are you focusing? You're focusing thought and emotion together. You're focusing. You're not just focusing thought, and you're not just focusing emotion. You're focusing thought and emotion. You're trying to find that place where you can believe what you want and then move that direction, knowing that what you want is so important to this world. Each and every one of us coming to that clear place where truly what we want, we are moving towards that. We will all move towards what we all want. Your desires are blessed. It's a misunderstanding of them that makes them cursed. The point where your desire is where your soul actually is. It's where your source energy, it's the wick of life is right there where your feeling is, where you feel that pull to the more, the I want. And it's not just I yearn for what I do not have, but I want beauty, and I may be surrounded by beauty, but and I'm focusing on it, and I want it, and I want it, and I want it. It's that kind of, not yearning for the pining for, it's not that energy. That energy will simply get you to the place where you more consistently do not have what you want. That's how that works. So let's see if I have anything left that I have not spoken of. I actually don't think I have. I think I have said it all. This would be the point in the program where I could take questions. Because I have... somebody might say, I'm a little unclear about such and such. Could you clarify that? And I would say, would be happy to do that. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So anyway, I guess I will end the program for today. We're at 1 hour and 46 minutes. That's plenty of time. I hope that you got something out of it, and I hope that you join me again tomorrow. I hope that all of you that joined me today will join me tomorrow, and perhaps a few extra. Esther has an ending. She has there is much love here for you. I need to have some sort of a sign-off that expresses the love that we are all connected to, and the love that we all have access to without going anywhere. It's non-locally everywhere. I have been saying this, which is a little bit inadequate, but I guess I'll sign off with that. Until tomorrow, I bid you peace.